Hey guys, it's Christian C here, back from CNH Small Engine for another video here. This video will be my last video for outdoor power equipment maintenance, simply because I had one too many jerk off clients and customers over here over the past few months, and I am not going to be doing small engine repair work for much more over here, simply because it's not economical, and I don't like telling people that, but that's the fact. The matter is right here. People in this area, I have what they call a syndrome, or some kind of an illness. It's called, my definition, it's called the Mon Valley mentality. People don't want to spend any money because either they're just plain cheap. They just like a prank call you over the phone or jerk you around in a phone, or they're on some kind of a senior citizen discounts, or they're on Social Security and they just don't want to spend nothing anyway in the first place, and they expect prices to be as they were back in the 50s and stuff like that, and it simply cannot be. So this will be the last video I'm giving you right now about small engine repair and stuff like that. This deals with the newer style Kohler engines that are on your typical Toro and Lawn Boy. We had a customer here. He dropped his machine off here about 3 or 4 days back. He claims the machine was running perfectly fine for him one day, and he cut his whole yard about 95% of it. Then all of a sudden the machine started dying out and stopping on him. So we checked it out over here, and rather than taking anything apart on his specific machine, because I like to do a thorough test of the machine before we actually take something apart, because I'm not going to dismantle a custom machine unless I can try to duplicate the symptoms they're having with the machine. Well, what we did over here was he was claiming the machine kept on dying out after about 35 minutes or 40 minutes of him cutting his yard, and it took him about 40 minutes to cut his whole yard. And he brought it over to us, and we checked it out, and basically what we did over here was we tested it off and on for 2 days straight. I put 2 solid gas tanks of fuel through the machine. Basically, the thing ran almost near perfect for me over here. It only acted up one time, and it was very slight. And basically, what happened was we drained out his carburetor, and the bottom of these carburetors right here on the side, as you do, you know, to flush the carb ball out themselves on there. Plus, I took the tank off. Tank looked relatively good inside. There was hardly any particles whatsoever in the tank. The filter, they have a filter on the line. It goes from the tank down to the carburetor. You got your fuel line down there, and these ones have a very small inline filter. It's actually inside of the fuel line itself on there. It's a real small, almost like a sleeve inside. It has about 3 or 4 different holes where gasoline can go through it. It's a relatively pretty neat design, as opposed to having an external one where you simply plug it in and have it jointed in the fuel line. So basically, we drained it out. There was hardly any debris in there, stuff like that. We filled it back up, put new gasoline in it, tested it the next day, ran it for probably about 2 hours straight out my driveway, and we ran at full speed. We ran it with the blades on the whole time to put it under a load out there. And the thing ran absolutely perfect for me. The previous day, I should mention, we did get to duplicate it one time, only for about maybe 2 or 3 split seconds out there. And we checked it out, and like I said before, we drained out the carburetor. It had a really small amount of particles in the side, but it looked like little pieces of grass. And the other thing was the automatic choke system they have on these machines. They can be relatively problematic out there out of the box because of the design. It's supposed to be automatic, and things automatic tend not to work properly. That's why most commercial machines have a manual choke and stuff like that on it for the RPMs and everything else. And this one of his, he had the rod that comes out of the side where the exhaust is on there. Basically, your exhaust system on these newer machines, they have a cylinder-shaped adapter where they go onto the exhaust side and it acts as a butterfly damper. It's almost like a thermostat control. It's a cylinder-shaped part, and it has a rod coming out of it, and the rod pushes against the carburetor on top right here, and it pushes it like that, back and forth on it like that. And sometimes it does not put it in the optimum position for choking or for that. And I found out that his rod was slightly bent, because basically you have your engine right here, your engine's back here, and basically you have a rod that's coming out the side over here, and the rod goes back and forth like this, and the rod was binding up just a tiny bit on there, and the rod was like bent, like somebody might have hit it with some bushes or shrubs out there, and we had to straighten the thing out. Then after that, the carburetor was able to do a full sweep of the choke and non-choke properly, so we definitely solved that problem. But we gave the job back to the customer after we tested it for 2 days straight and ran perfect after we did those 2 repairs. He calls me up about an hour later saying he was cutting his yard. He got about 98% of a cut out there, and the thing just like died on him. Where you at? Oh, there you go. Okay. Well, if I had a customer out there, sorry about that. Oh, okay, back to the story. Yeah, he called me up about an hour later, and he was claiming the machine was doing the same thing over again, except it was not doing it as much as it did before. So I told him to bring it back, and we'll check it out free of charge, no problem. Well, this time we checked it out over here. I actually took the carburetor off because he brought it over, and he could actually duplicate the problem right in the driveway whenever he dropped the thing off, unlike us over here, because we had it run for 2 days straight over here, and we could not duplicate it except for one little tiny time on there, and that's sometimes the problems with certain machines out there, because I had a guy's machine about 7-8 years ago. He had a long boy door for us, and he kept on saying the machine kept on shutting off on him after about 10 or 15 minutes running out there, and he brought it to us, and we ran for about 3 or 4 days straight off and on, or maybe about an hour here and half an hour there, and maybe 2 hours the next thing, and the thing ran absolutely flawlessly for me the whole time, no problem whatsoever. And so we get back and said we checked the wires, everything else, everything tested out fine. So he calls me up about 3 days later, and I said it's doing the same thing all over again. And he told me, "Oh, I thought you guys fixed it and everything else." And I told him, "Well, bring it back over." So when he brought it back over, it did it immediately, right when he brought it over here, unknown to us. When we had the previous time, it was like 3-4 days. It ran perfectly smooth a baby's ass out. Didn't have a single lick of problem at all. That's the problem with some problems. Some problems would be so small, minute, you cannot really thoroughly test them out, because you can't leave a machine sitting outside for maybe a whole day running multiple tanks of gasoline through it and hoping the problem pops up whenever you have it. It's almost like by sheer luck that he called me up a couple days later that the thing was actually giving him problems. He brought it over immediately after that, and we were able to duplicate it right in the driveway that he brought over here. So that's basically one thing to look at when you got real small, weird problems out there. Getting back to this guy's machine right here, the carburetor. We took the carburetor off the machine on here, and we find he had a small amount of sludge right here where your main jet goes up through the emulsion tube on here. You get your emulsion tube right here and your main jet, and he had some sludge built right around here from ethanol, gasoline, and that didn't seem to cause any problems with it running. However, upon further inspection, down inside the bowl here, we noticed that the bowl's internal coating, these bowls have a coating inside of them right here. I mean, you can see I can show you down here. I probably can't really show it to you. I'll just take the thing off here. And what the difference is, say you got a Honda bowl right here. Honda bowls don't have any coating on the internals or externals of them right here. Your Tecumseh's the same thing, no coatings, internal, externals. Your Briggs and Stratton basically they really don't have a coating at all, and it just basically looks like that, so it doesn't really flake off. Well, the difference is these Chinese machines with their carburetors, since they're low quality, they tend to put like a cheap, it's almost like electroplating or something on these things inside here. And what was happening was with this guy's machine, this stuff was slowly getting eaten apart in here. So I'll show you what this thing actually looks like. Here we go. Show you what this stuff looks like exactly on here. See, this is his bowl. He has a small amount of water damage up here, and right on the main jet emulsion tube area as well too, right here. But it really wasn't bad because the main jet was perfectly clean down inside there. Emulsion tube was perfectly good, no problem with that. But you can see down inside here. Let's see, get a better picture down here. This stuff is flaking apart down inside here. This liner, I basically call it a lining inside of the actual metal itself. Like they put some kind of a dip or a spray coat or something like that on there that your typical Tecumsehs don't have. See, you got the Tecumseh bowl, it's basically bare metal down inside there, so there's nothing to peel off down inside there. But these newer Chinese bowls, like this one right here, they have this damn silver coating on these things right here as well too. And this is the first one I've ever seen this happen to me over here in about 8 years. This only happened one other time on an early 07 when they first introduced these Chinese engines on the market about back in 08. I actually got the machine. It was a recall or something on the carburetor. And if you compare it to a Honda style carburetor right here, this one right here on the right hand side, it's bare metal as is the Tecumseh right here on the left hand side as well too. The good thing about these things is this metal won't strip off or peel apart or anything else like that, like this one will, even though they look almost nearly identical. So you can see them right there. It's basically bare metal and stuff like that. We had to order a new carburetor for the customer because I'm not going to chance it and to try to clean that and do some kind of a half-ass, half-baked job on here. So we had to order a guy, another customer, and I had to apologize on the phone that we couldn't duplicate his exact symptoms over a course of 2 days and run it for about 2 hours over here. So we had to go ahead and order a new carburetor. And the thing is, the new carburetors, they no longer have the gold color on the outside like this one. They look almost identical to the Honda one. Apparently they must have had a running design change or something with these newer style replacement parts, and they're no longer silver. They're more nice and shiny like the Tecumseh style bowl right here. So the flaking should not happen from that point on. So that's basically something to look forward to if you're having a customer's job and it's having weird starting issues, like after he's running for an hour or half an hour, whatever. I recommend taking the bowl off of the machine and simply looking down inside the actual carburetor's bowl down inside. See it's like flaking off down inside like this one is right here, because that stuff can get jammed up inside the main part of the, like I said before, the emulsion tube and everything else right down inside, but everything else looks clean. So that's basically all I can really tell about that one, because we put the new carburetor on the guy's machine and we test ran it over here for an hour straight, and the thing runs absolutely perfect. So we gave it back to the guy out there, and he hasn't called me back since. So that should be the definite repair for that type of a problem. So anytime you got carburetor problems with these Kohlers out there, these Kohler Tecumsehs out there, I recommend to just simply take the carburetor off and replace the carburetor, because these carburetors can be maybe between, I'd say between $30 and $60 depending on where you find them at. Me personally, I got a guy that I buy them at a greatly reduced price because he used to be a dealer for Kohler, so I can get them really cheap out there for that. So once again, anytime you got a problem with your carburetor, just simply take the carburetor off, throw it out, put a new carburetor on it, because these things, because of their manufacturing, where they're manufactured at, it's just simply better to buy a new one because they're so cheap. So anybody has any questions, comments, whatnot, just give me a call, or just leave me a message here on the page, and I'll try to answer any questions you may have. I'll see you guys.